Hello, my name is Russell Myers. Welcome to Issues Unite. So, the future of the United States lies in socialism. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. You have the delusion that we are a capitalist country, but we are not. We are without socialist programs. Our entire economy would not exist. In fact, the corporate structure would not exist. Period. Corporate profits would not exist. If to make a point here, before I get to the main thing about the future, see, if you went to publicly funded schools, you're a socialist. Your education was funded by society. You're a socialist. If you are on Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, you're a socialist. Your medical care and your living are funded by society. If you drive on public roads, you're a socialist. Society paid for those roads. If you go to a public library, you're a socialist. If you eat in a restaurant, you're benefiting from inspections by health departments. You're a socialist. If you drink water from a municipal system, you're a socialist. Society paid for those, for that entire system to be built. Same with the sewer system. And, if you throw your garbage in a trash can that's picked up, you're a socialist. Because otherwise, you'd just be throwing your garbage in your backyard. You're a socialist. All of this goes into a communal landfill. If you are currently getting, assistance, unemployment, because your job no longer exists, or because your job doesn't pay enough, if you're getting public assistance, you're a socialist. If you go to a food bank to get help, you're a socialist. So we need to stop with all of this stuff raging against socialism. We are a socialist country. Think about all of the millions of jobs that are supported by socialist programs. The things I listed: road repair and construction, teachers, medical care, police, firefighters, health departments, public hygiene, waste removal, and on and on and on. These are all socially, they're funded by society. These are not capitalist programs. If they were capitalist programs, they wouldn't exist. So, even if you went to a charter school or private school and got subsidies to help pay for it, you are still a socialist. At least some part of your education was paid for that way. If you got grants to go to college, you're a socialist. If you got government grants, even if they were not government grants, if they were corporate grants, well, society still paid for the profits that went into that corporation that you received for your scholarship. Society paid for it. In one way or another, everything in our society is paid for by society. So now we've got, if you haven't heard this, 52% of millennials have moved back home with their parents. 52%. This is the highest rate ever since it began being tracked. The highest before was the end of the Great Depression in 1948. In 1940. And it was 48% of young people living at home. But it's not just young people that are moving back home. This is just what has been reported. I know people in their 30s and 40s and 50s that have moved back home with their parents or with siblings, etc. A lot of the time there are health issues involved, which, that's fine. But when I talk to them, there are also financial concerns that led to that decision. This is not a bad thing. So, the only ones that think that it's bad are the capitalists that want to rent you an apartment or sell you a house, the banks, and what have you. They're going to call it a tragedy. But why? Why is it a tragedy if you are sharing your home and your resources with your family, even friends? Which younger people, for years, the millennials have been known to be less likely to buy a vehicle. They're more likely to ride share, take public transportation, walk, ride a bike, etc. They're more likely to have roommates, and on and on. They do whatever they can, but they share resources in one way or another. So they're already in basically a socialist mentality where resources are shared among the members of their social group, which is going to make them more prone to view socialism in a favorable manner. They're suffering the effects from capitalism with being less likely to afford education without crippling debt, less likely to have a living wage job after they get an education. So, leaning toward socialism just makes sense. Fewer and fewer people can afford medical insurance. And even if they afford the insurance, they can't afford the deductible and the co-payments and all that stuff. So universal health care makes sense. It makes sense. Now, other things that are happening right now at this time are going to lead to us being more of a socialistic society. And we're going to be more open toward it. The fact that hundreds of thousands of people are having to rely on food stamps, food banks, welfare, all these forms of public assistance, and yet being denied at this point a lot of those resources. Do you think that people are looking at it favorably, that while they are denied assistance for basic needs, that they're looking at the stock market going up, corporate profits, dividends, etc.? You know, they put money into savings, into 401ks, and they're losing their money to the capitalists that have collapsed the system. Do you think that that all these people are going to be favorable towards this? The commercial real estate industry is collapsing around us across the country. It is collapsing around us. You see more and more empty, commercial real estate every day. More and more retail outlets and even manufacturing outlets are closing down. So our only choices left at this point, such as moving back home and, food banks and things like this, these are socialist concepts. It's society relying on society to survive. And we're going to be more and more in this position. And over the coming months, what is going to happen when these eviction moratoriums end and, tens of millions are thrown out on the street? We can't rely on the capitalists. We can't rely on the government, which are nothing but puppets to the capitalists. We have to rely on each other. So we are heading toward a socialist economy, a socialist society. Even if you own a farm or a ranch and you get subsidies from the government, where is the government getting that money from? From society. That makes you a socialist. If you work for an oil company and the oil company gets government subsidies, that makes you a socialist. Any kind of tax break or subsidy that comes from the government to help your business, even if you are an employee of that business, and that makes you dependent on society, that makes you a socialist. You may not want to see it that way, but you are a socialist. Your bank account is guaranteed by FDIC. That is a socialist concept. We can keep debating all this based on the propaganda that has been pushed on us since the 1950s to make socialism or communism dirty words. Things that you don't even want to think about. But they're there, and we've been living it. It was prior to FDR that there was no minimum wage, no wage protection, no Social Security, no Medicare or Medicaid, where if you got injured on the job, you were out of luck. If they wanted to pay you 10 cents an hour, whatever, or not pay you at all, you had no protection. If you deposited money in the bank and the bank went bust, you lost your deposits. You lost every penny that you put in that bank. All of these things, all of these ideas, millions of jobs, your job, your wages, your money in the bank, your health, the quality of your water, the safety of your food, the safety of your medications. We'll argue about that one some other time. But all of this. These are socialist concepts. You are a socialist because you benefit from these things. The Clean Air Act. If you've ever been to a national or a state or a city park, if you've ever been to a park that is not privately owned, you're a socialist. So stop raging against this. Accept the fact that this is who we are, and we need to go further this direction. Capitalism is collapsing. It has fed upon itself, and there is nothing left for it to feed on. Once you are no longer a benefit to the capitalist system, that system chews you up, spits you out, and throws you away. Society in socialism recognizes the value of the person. Whether you are a profit or not, whether you are a profit or an expense, you still have a value as a human being. So we have to go toward the direction of socialism. Otherwise, as capitalism continues to collapse, jobs cease to exist. Nobody can afford a place to live. What is the future of our society? This is not a choice. This is not a choice. You cannot let this choice be made for you. We are going to have to rely on each other. And that means that we are going to have to speak out together to change our system. We have to change the system because we sure can't count on the people that are getting paid by the rich, by the capitalists, to come up with programs, systems that are going to help us. All right, that is it for this video. Share this video. Talk about these issues. Talk about them widely. Talk about it with people that don't want to hear it. Most of all, talk about it with the people that don't want to hear it. Put this video right in front of them. All right? So, if you can, please donate $1 a month and help to expand the channel. And I will talk to you later in the next one.